It's just I try. I actually uh found the general manager, Rick Lore, uh,
Hmm.
on LinkedIn, and I invited him. And I don't think he probably will make it or anything like that, but I gave him an invitation. And
Cool.
so if he makes it, um, that would be interesting to see what he'd have to say, what's going on. I'm not sure. I know he's probably really busy, and he does more than just coconut palms. Uh,
Sure.
but I just wonder, if he knew what was going on, if there would be any changes. Okay, maybe somebody's coming in here.
Yeah. Well, and interestingly, I have friends that live in Fort Myers,
Mhm.
and they also, my one friend in particular, she's in administration with the Florida Repertory Theater Company that's there, and they had a major damage done. And she has been dealing with FEMA and the state ever since the hurricane last summer. And she was saying that it's a slow process, but it's still like you got to work it. And from what I'm seeing people posting, I'm wondering how much they're actually working it, because
Yeah.
that's her right now. She said it's really not my job, but right now it's my full-time job to be getting these funds to like rebuild this building.
But they're going through FEMA and some
And the
other
Florida state,
FEMA and
like
Florida
whatever
State.
the public funding and the insurances, like, but she particularly is dealing with the state and FEMA. But of course, they have insurance as well.
Mark and Rianne.
Yes.
Hi, welcome. Okay, I just wanted.
Trying to get the video to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Amy was the first one, and she's already got me writing a book. You'll hear it later.
Hi.
Hi.
Disconnecting to audio right now.
I see it now. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the second time I've actually really had any kind of a sizable meeting. The first one was earlier for coconut palms to owners only, and this one is the second one. So I'm hoping everything goes well.
I'm sure it will. Did you get a lot of response, Michael,
For this one,
for this meeting?
yeah, well, yeah, I've seen a lot of people interested in coming.
Cool.
I just sent out some. I tagged a bunch of people just now, 15 minutes before the thing started, to see if a lot of times people don't realize it until I maybe make a reminder. So I try to do that right before the meeting. Right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yay.
Hi, Mr. Devon.
How you doing?
Oh, hanging in there. Thank you.
Just call me Hans, please.
Hans. Okay, if I can remember. I suffer from CRS. That's can't remember stuff. Okay.
Do I have my video on?
Yes, you do. I see you.
In the meeting now.
Usually I have to turn it on. But
Participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until the host admits you to the meeting.
Good evening, everyone. This is Gail.
Hi, Gail. There you
Hey,
are.
Gail.
I see you. Okay, so I was asking Amy if she'd been to the resort Coconut Palms 2, and she does a lot of Interval International. She goes to a lot of different places. Who else does that? When's the last time you've been to the resort Coconut Palms 2?
I live 45 minutes from there.
Oh, nice. Nice. Ask to unmute. iPhone. Okay, here comes somebody. Somebody else has just joined. Now there's 10 of us. Okay. I think so. As we're waiting for a little bit more, few more people come, why don't we just start by asking questions, and I'll take some notes and things, and then we'll just go on after a few minutes. So, is there any questions that you all have? And once we get more people that come in, we can, review them and see if there's anybody got some answers. Because I'm just like everybody else here. That there's a lot of answers that I don't have. So, anybody got any questions about what's going on or anything like that?
Yeah, Michael, this is Gail. I raised my hand.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Um, I have not. We winter in Florida, so my mail goes to Wisconsin, so it takes a while to get down here. But I have not received the assessment letter that I've seen talked about.
Yeah.
Can anybody, just talk a little bit about if they did get the assessment letter, what did it say? And
Oh, there we go. Look at there.
there you go.
The bottom line is it's $463.33. They want
Wow.
to they want the timeshare owners to put in $2 million. This is a combination of, I think, I'm believing it's a combination of hurricane deductible plus, and I'm guessing here, and so don't quote me on that. It's probably they want to do some enhancements to make it nicer so that they can sell more property.
Yeah. Sell more property.
So
Go ahead.
this is Amy Walters. My question is, what happened to the assessments that we paid a couple of years ago? Because that was supposed to be for all the renovations, and they never finished those.
Yeah. Good
Well,
question.
the letter claims that, let's see, where does it say that? I don't know where it says that. I read it earlier today. Prior to the hurricanes, there were several projects completed at the property as part of a multi-year renovation plan to fix deferred maintenance and update the property. These properties included new roofing for Big Blue, royal palm thatch and pineapple palms, exterior painting, stucco repair, balconies, gutter and downspout repair, full interior renovation of travelers and thatch, buildings, multiple HVAC replacements, and other large mechanical replacement. This was all completed with the funding through your regular reserve account contributions without assessments. Big Blue unit common area renovations and other projects were planned for this year and being the largest building, we anticipate an assessment to cover what reserves would not. Insurance from the storm claims will offset some of that planned expenses, but not all. With the building heavily gutted from mitigation, it makes sense to continue the renovation project now to complete the interiors. So it really doesn't say the question you answered.
So I guess does it say that we're allowed to participate in that board meeting, or is it just telling us we're getting an assessment?
Say that again.
Go ahead, Hans. You sound like you.
Go ahead and say it again. The question.
Does the letter say that we can participate in that board meeting where they're going to vote? Or
Absolutely.
It does?
Yes. I mean, you're not going to probably be able to talk. I'm looking for that notification. Hey, Jane, will you bring me that mail from the kid?
So they haven't voted on it yet?
I think the meeting's March 27th, and you have
That's what I thought.
And you
March
have to
24th, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
So does it say that?
You have to register in order to participate.
And okay, so that's probably just by telephone, maybe, or
No, it's a Teams meeting, Microsoft Teams.
Okay. I saw that, but I'm not familiar with that either. So I'd have to try to see about that too.
It's on the kitchen counter there, right?
So I guess one of the questions then that either we could submit in advance or ask is if they can identify what's associated with that assessment. If they can itemize what the assessment is going to go for.
It's in
Well,
the letter.
It does, actually, it does. I was just thinking, Mike, how about if I scan this stuff and you can put it up? How about that?
I would
Send
give
it
it a
to your
shot.
email address.
If you could scan it and can you put it on your computer? You could share it.
Well, no, I tried that. It says only the host can share.
Oh, really? Oh, I have to give you permission. I'm sorry. I can do that.
Okay.
I think I've never done that yet.
Well, let me,
It's
I think you have to request it, and I think when I see it, I can allow you to share it.
all right, just a minute. I'm gonna scan the documents.
Okay. Mark and Rhiannon, did you have? Okay, you put your hand back down. Never mind. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I guess I'm confused. So they sent this letter out saying they're going to have this vote and this is what the assessment would be, or they already have had the vote?
No,
We didn't get it.
they're notifying you. They have to give you 2 weeks notification on a special assessment. And let me suggest to you that your input is not going to be welcome.
Yeah, I've got that same impression. I figured you can sit there and listen in, but I don't know if they are actually accepting anything else, except they're just going to let you see what they're talking about.
Well, I listened into the last meeting and basically all they told you was individually they would get back to you. They didn't answer any questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead and talk. I'm scanning.
Okay.
the letter was already uploaded to the owner's page a couple days ago. So it's there in detail and is on the owner's site. I just received mine today in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Okay, well then
Let me see.
Sorry, go ahead.
then I will continue scanning here. If everybody's gotten on the assessment, special assessment meeting notice, it basically breaks it down to in-unit repair and renovations, exterior and common, deductibles, insurance timeshare, insurance proceed, mix. Mix means whole and timeshare owners. On the other letter, it states special assessment items, interior renovation, Big Blue, patio doors, Big Blue, pool service, resurface, pool roof panel and code upgrades, HVAC replacement, 32 units, landscape upgrading, lobby renovations, restrooms, hallways, fitness center, old sales room on first floor, outdoor kitchen, by the BW, by the way, B&B and travelers.
Oh, that's between.
And hot water repairs, Big Blue, replacement windows,
Okay.
miscellaneous insurance deductible.
That's on the letter that they sent you. Is that the one that we can find online too?
I don't know what you're going to find online, what you're not.
Yeah, in the owners only Facebook group. Yeah.
Yep, Michael,
Yes,
I just found it.
Okay. Can you want to try to share it or?
Well, I found it on the website.
Okay. All right. Like I say, I've never done that yet, but if you can you say on the bottom of your screen, you'll see something, share screen or something like that. And I want to see what happens here on my end.
It might be at the top under on the top bar, it says share content.
Yeah, that's not the way it looks, but I'm not sure how
Yeah.
everybody else look.
Let's see here. Oh, here's Zoom. Let's see. Oh, okay, so only the host can share this meeting.
Meeting, yeah. Okay, not the meeting, but I should. Let's see here. Hang on a minute.
could you put it in the chat?
Is there anything down at the bottom? Okay, when you clicked on that, it just said only the host can share.
Here, this
Yeah.
says this is only.
Yeah, that's the same thing that happened to me. It
Okay,
says
one
only the
minute.
host can share in this meeting.
Okay, multiple participants can share simultaneously. Hang on 1 minute.
Let's see.
Okay, now try it. Now try it now.
Oh, here, share to ongoing meeting. There we
Yeah.
go. There we go.
Okay, there we
Yep.
go. There we go. That's nice.
And from what I understand, it's only a partial assessment. They're going to have another vote for another one.
That's what I heard too.
Yes. Somebody on the site said that. The new assessment the Board of Directors is voting to approve on March 24th is a partial assessment. The other part will most likely be levied shortly after.
Okay. Yeah, we can't, you have to manipulate everything you're sharing there. So, but we see
Okay,
that,
so-
and you said that you saw it online and you're sharing it from all on the website. Is that the yeah. Greetings.
Yeah.
I didn't see
So-
this.
Oh, geez, here.
That must be her letter.
Okay, so can you, I'm trying to make this bigger. Are you able to
That's
see
good
that?
right there. That's good.
Right
Yeah.
there?
That's
Okay,
fine.
so that's, must be what he was reading, Hans was reading there.
Can you see that, Hans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was reading.
Okay.
On the other page, it's not as broken out as it is here.
Okay. All right. Okay, it's recorded. Gail, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
If you want to go over more of it, has anybody got any questions about that? Go up or down, tell her if you want to see something, now's the time to check.
Yeah, I guess that the point I would make in all of this is if we can join that call, I will try to join that call on Friday. I don't know if we're able to ask questions or not, but we're seeing this as a special assessment. We're not really seeing the total picture of why isn't this being covered under insurance?
Right.
And the previous question from the meeting we had before was, have they contacted FEMA and are we getting any relief from FEMA? So it feels like this special assessment is a little bit out of order in that we're not seeing the complete picture.
Yeah. We were wondering, a lot of us were wondering, I saw on the group page that people were wondering, what happened to the insurance? A lot of people don't
Right.
understand how it's handled. And Amy, she had said that she knew somebody that was going through it. And so, yeah, that was new to me, the FEMA and the Florida State
Right.
dealing with it. So that'll be a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go over, if you go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay,
Gail.
so that'll be a new thing. So how do I stop sharing?
I think you just did it. It's
The
doing
same button you probably clicked
yeah,
before.
same button.
Click it again.
Okay. Oh, here, stop sharing.
There we
Okay.
go. Okay.
Can I
All
just add before we move on to something else? It does state in the letter, in the third paragraph, in this letter with the assessment breakdown is dated March 7th. It states that we are still very early in the claim process with the insurance company and are still gathering some of the information needed to finalize the build back and some of the units and exteriors.
So that makes me, you
There
think
was
that, I'm sorry.
There
Go
was
ahead.
another area that I'm looking for that also stated that a lot of the upfront money was needed to secure for the work to start to take place. I'm looking for that right now. I saw that in the letter as well, which was the reason why they were asking for an assessment up front, but then they were going to go back after they knew what insurance is going to cover, and then they were going to reconcile what they estimate they need and the assessments that we paid, and stuff like that. That was also included in the letter.
And what we paid, does that mean after we pay the assessment of 400 some dollars?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I imagine it's a little bit of a juggling thing for them to, but you'd think that they would do something to try to get all of the information in first before they'd assess us. They're expecting, it sounds like they're expecting to be a lot more, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing that too.
Yeah.
Michael, one of the things that you should put down on your notepad is that, is there any business interruption insurance? And what that is businesses, if they, for example, wiped out, in the absence of anybody coming in buying anything, if they have business interruption insurance, they would get money to cover those losses until they're back up and running again.
Okay.
So there may be, I suspect there's nothing for owners, but I suspect there might be something for, maybe the staff or the offices or whatever. But I think it's one thing we should understand if they have business interruption insurance.
I wrote that down. Is that sort of like, I suppose during COVID, did businesses have that as well?
Yes, I'm assuming that. I don't know what's covered, in other words, is COVID covered by business interruption? I don't know the answer.
The insurance companies, the different insurance.
But I can tell you that, hurricanes are definitely business interruption.
You think they would be planning for that and know how to handle them by now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna share something, and then we'll start. Does anybody? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I did find in that letter, it says also there are also several smaller upgrades planned that make sense to do while we are only partially open. Insurance will cover a portion, but it still may be weeks before we learn the full amount of the claim. In the meantime, many of the items required have long lead times and deposits due before anything can be put into motion. For that reason, and to salvage as much as the high season as possible, we are levying to a partial assessment now. We will assess the balance later once the full scope of the work and insurance reimbursements are known. So I think it's important for everybody to read this letter and document that was sent out, and I understand not everybody has it, but it does have some good information in it for understanding or partial understanding.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds good. Yeah, what you've told us already, it makes sense.
All right, and I own about 30 weeks of time sharing, and 2 weeks of it is at Coconut Palms. And I'm on the board of directors of four of those, four different associations. I've been on 3 others, and I'm currently president of 2 of them. And they're all over in Sanibel and Captiva, which took the brunt of Hurricane Ian. And I can tell you there is quite a bit of truth, and there's a long lead time for all this stuff. So they're being very proactive in going ahead and ordering everything and then trying to settle up with the insurance company later. So over on Sanibel and Captiva, those properties are managed by Hilton. And we have, through Hilton, a very good policy, insurance policy, but we also have something called loss of use. And the loss of use is a form of business interruption. And what it does is if we are unable to use our unit, then Hilton, through the insurance company, will reimburse us for all of our maintenance fees, the reserves, the operating fees, the taxes, everything. So it's not an issue of, we're losing weeks on a daily basis, because everybody that's losing the week is being reimbursed. But at Coconut Palms, we don't have loss of use. So every week that a unit is not available, somebody's losing out on a week. So it makes sense. It makes sense to go ahead and get this special assessment up front. Go ahead and get that stuff ordered. We're figuring our insurance company over there has not settled with us on soft goods and furniture and appliances. So we don't know, the boards don't know the extent of what has to be replaced, but we're talking to the interior designers and they're saying that it will take 6 to 9 months to get especially fabric and furniture from China. So again, this is being very proactive on their part, and I think it's good. It may not be something that everybody's going to like, but hopefully it'll all settle out with the insurance company at the end, or it'll be more tolerable.
Well, for some of us, it's not like we have a lot of money just to be set aside to be spending.
Right.
For the money, for the $400 some, that you're $850 or whatever it is now, add that, now it turns into 12, and then you have to say, well, there's going to be more money coming, and that's not always easy for people to do.
Right.
So that's
I agree.
that's a problem, and I sure would like to see what they might do. I understand that they're trying to figure out the best they can as fast as they can, but right now they're not telling us anything. Now we got this assessment, we know what they're going to ask us for money, but for now, when people are finding out that their weeks have been canceled, and that's after they have gotten their reservations for the air, to fly there and different things, which is non-refundable. They're out not only their week, but their travel expenses.
Yeah.
So they're not saying it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's the
That's okay.
HDD kicking in. This is Amy Walters again. My cancellation happened within under 2 weeks of my reservation. And so instead of losing out on all of the travel, we wound up booking a place down the beach.
Who is this?
So I had to pay for that. This is Amy Walters.
Okay.
I was the one that uploaded the letter yesterday or the day before when I got it, after filing my complaint with the Better Business Bureau. But my frustration was they canceled it. My reservation was in Travelers, and of course it was, they were stating that it was because the resort was closed. Well, I walked down the beach, they were open, and the unit I was supposed to be in has been remodeled, and it was available, and nobody was in it. So that was very frustrating.
What unit was?
So
for the record, what unit was that?
it was actually I don't remember the number, but it's not my normal unit. It was the one on the end that faces the ocean.
Oh,
bottom floor.
On the bottom floor. Okay.
I think
And
it's-
what week was that you were supposed to be in Travelers?
April 24th or the 25th through March 4th or 5th. So I've been there and I've been back. So, and there were people in the pool. There were people sitting at the lower pool. The upper pool deck does need to be fixed, but it didn't seem too out of shape. I also went inside, and the lobby seems like it did if you were there a year ago, because they did the same thing to me last year when I went to book my week. They said that I couldn't have the week even though it was within my time frame, because there were no more owner units available, but I could call and book and still stay there, which I did. So I paid last year for my week, my timeshare week, and a week to stay there.
Oh, hell.
And then when I called to, of course, reschedule that week, that's when the hurricanes hit. So because of the hurricanes, they allowed me to carry it over into this year. So now I have 2 weeks to use before the end of the year. But I went in and went into the office. because they had the chalkboard, the Welcome to Coconut Palms 2 out. They want to put in, and I spoke to the girl in the office and I can't remember her name. She's been there a couple years though, because she was there under, I can't remember her name, but I recorded the whole conversation. Anyways, and she was saying that the reason that Big Blue is closed is not completely because of all the damage. It's because it's empty and easier for them to renovate it all at once than it is to like do a floor at a time. And Royal was completely closed. They still haven't even fixed the steps from the beach up there to the resort.
The wooden
But
steps. The wooden
Yep,
steps.
yep, yes, those are damaged still. I think somebody had posted a picture on the site.
Yes, they did.
On the Facebook page. They still look like that. But there were tons of people at the resort. And I said to her, I said, so am I allowed to sit here at all? You know, she's like, no, because you don't have a reservation. I said, but you're open. And I did have a reservation. You canceled it on me. And then she's like, well, you can sit here. I won't tell anybody since this happened to you last year as well. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. You know, that's not fair for those that are here. So, and we didn't sit there.
I think there would be plenty of room for you to be in there. I've never seen it so crowded that, of course, I'm staying in the hot times in June and July, but I'm not sure what it's like in April. I don't know. Is it pretty crowded there usually?
Nice.
It's crowded.
Yeah, no,
I have a question.
In April around spring break, but most of that is us because there's a whole bunch of us that come from Western New York that come down. But you know, it wasn't that crowded that we couldn't have sat in with the little bungalows, not the bungalows, but the stand before you get to the beach.
Okay. Mark and Rayanne,
Yeah.
reminder, 1 second, reminder to everybody, so I don't miss you. Try to remember to raise your hands. Then it'll catch. If I catch it, then I'll try to interrupt, or I'll try to get you as soon as I can. Okay. Go ahead. Rayanne.
We are going down. We too rented a place down the beach because we couldn't get in. We have reservations in September. Hopefully we're going to get in. Somewhere on the owner's page, I had seen that if you were down there, they wanted you to go to the resort and take pictures. Do we know exactly what it is that they're looking for? Because we will gladly go and do that, but we don't know what it is that whoever on the page wants. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Well, in my mind, I'd say of course, I'm nuts about photographs, but I would just try to photograph everything that looks, out of kilter.
Okay.
That might be damaged and going to be worked on, but as many pictures as we can get and that we could share them.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
I think. And somebody just there's Ian. Did you get in here? Did I get you in?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Eamon and Jill Kadori.
Eamon. Yeah.
Hi. Sorry we got here.
No problem. I'm just glad to see you. We were talking about the assessment.
Oh, yes, we came home to that too.
You got yours?
Yes.
You noticed? Okay. I haven't gotten mine yet. So at least, well, you know what? I didn't go out and check my mail today. It might be out in the mailbox. So we're asking people, for questions and stuff again. So now, if there's anybody got any other questions, and again, I'm trying to remind people to put their hands up to ask questions so it stays kind of orderly. And if I don't see somebody answering a hand or recognize somebody, just somebody tell me. Go ahead, Hans.
The problem is right now, Festiva has 3 directors on the board. I mean, all 3 members of the board are directors of Festiva. So whatever they want to do, they got carte blanche. Nick Pulver, I talked to Nick earlier today. Many of you know Nick Pulver. He's still trying to turn things around there. You know, somehow, you know, we have, if you look at how many owners there are, we have more than double the owners that that Festiva has.
Yeah.
And so we should be able to vote in 3 owners. We just haven't done it. I mean, we don't get the owners to vote.
Yeah. Did you see the last video that we put up, that I put up there?
Well, Nick told me there was a previous one.
Yeah, we had discussed it there too. Yeah, because I think it was the proxies that we were having trouble getting. Not everybody was going to, and we have to find a way to get people to understand that they need to do that. And I'm guilty. I didn't send my proxy in. And then the more I talk about it, the worse I feel. But even then, when people are putting in their proxies, they were saying that some of it, they weren't signed right and different things. Eamon could probably elaborate on that, but it's in that you can go back to the first video and see what was said there too. So
Well,
yeah,
I was at the meeting last year. I think it was last year or year before, one of the meetings, one of the last 2 meetings. Have they had their annual? Yes, they have. So I wasn't at the last one, but I was at the previous one when they elected all 3 directors, and we contested that, and they got a legal opinion from an attorney. I mean, the bottom line, I think the only way we're going to get anywhere is we're going to have to all chip in $100, $200 and get an attorney.
I think that's a consensus quite a bit, almost across the board, I imagine.
But the problem is, now, Florida, I'm very familiar with Florida statute 718, 721. And if we pay for it, we can actually get a mailing to all the owners. I don't know what
force them to do that.
I'm sorry?
We'd have somebody that they could be forced.
Yes, they can be
addresses
forced.
and stuff. Okay.
No, they won't give them to us. But what they'll do is we give them a letter and they put it in an envelope and mail it to all the owners. But we have to pay for the mailing, you know, the copying, making the copies of the letter and you know, stuffing them and the postage. But that is part of Florida statutes that you can force them. I mean, you don't want to say force, but you can submit it to them, and they have to, by Florida statutes, send it out to all the owners. But, you know, again, I don't know what you got to do to wake people up.
Well, one, we'd have to have the addresses so we can send them, you know. I'm sure before I got involved with this, I went back to some of the history on the owners only, and I saw people were saying, you know, you got to put them, you have to put your proxies in, you got to get them in on time, and but it wasn't successful. It wasn't as successful as I know they hoped, but
I mean, we don't even get like 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, they have 1,746 units. We have 3,703.
Wow.
You know, so we can outvote them.
Yeah. So now that means the directors would change once that is voted in. Does that mean that we vote and we have somebody put in the director's seats, right?
Well, no, you have to have somebody that runs for the position. You can't just say, I'm going to put somebody in here. You have to put put up a candidate, and that candidate has to get a majority of the votes.
Okay.
In other words, if you have their 3 directors and we put in 3 owners, that's 6 candidates. So the top 3 would take the director's positions.
And that's on the proxies that's sent out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you'd want to do to make sure that everybody got them. And then, well, Just the one thing that we can do, the only thing we can do is just find a way to get the mailing. I think
You can't
because
get,
everybody doesn't come to the owners only Facebook group. They don't, a lot of people don't know it's there.
right.
And if that was the, if that was the case, it'd be nice, but the question was, is how do we get that information out to people?
Well, the only way that I see is to, have them do a mailing. But we have to pay for that.
Would they, if they would do that, you say? If they would do that,
They have to.
well then, but didn't they have to do that the last time? I'm not understanding something.
Well, you have to pay for it. We didn't pay for anything.
Oh. Okay.
In other words,
So what about the owners that don't pay?
no, I'm just talking about when we can go to Festiva and say, we want to do a mailing to all the owners. How much are you going to charge us? And they say $3,000. So we have to come up with $3,000 and a letter that we want sent out. And so we give them $3,000 and the letter, and they have to send out to every owner that letter.
We pay the cost. Okay. That's something new to me. For me, I didn't know we could ask them to do it and pay for it, and if we could pay for it.
Yeah, we have to pay for it.
How do you know that they're going to do it though?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Somebody's cutting out.
Wasn't the question, I guess.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know who was first, Gail or somebody else said it. Go ahead, Gail.
Hans, I had thought when I was reading the bylaws that were posted that we could have up to 9 members on the board. Can we get more Can we get more seats on the board that we just can add more people to the board besides those 3 directors?
Well, it has to come up in a meeting, which means a director would have to make a motion and they would have to approve it. So that would allow the board to increase the size of the board. Now, we did that in one association, and we actually went to the owners and said we'd like to go from 3 to 5, and we did, and they voted it. Some people say you don't need a vote of the owners, but bottom line is one of the directors has to make a motion, and then they have to approve it.
Okay.
So let's assume for a moment they approve it. They've got about 15 to 20 directors. All right. So guess what? You increase it to 5, you got 2 more directors that are from Festiva.
Okay.
It doesn't guarantee you,
Okay.
it does not guarantee you that you're going to get any owners on the board. Increasing.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Gail, still got Gail?
Yep. Nope. I said thank you. That's the
Okay.
answer that I was looking
Hands
for.
go up.
Yeah, I saw your hand still. I'm sorry.
I'm going to get my hand down here.
Are there any other questions? I'm gonna share something. I'm gonna try to share something and see how well it works. Bear with me. One of the things that we were following on the last one was if Ray was here, I think her name is Theberg. I was hoping she could be here in order to find out if there's anything, and maybe somebody here could be familiar with the HOA. She was getting some information on, she had some success with the HOA experience where she lives, and that's not for the timeshares, but I was hoping that she would be able to say something. And plus there was some information about trying to find some information on HOAs for timeshares. I don't know if anybody here now has any information about what we could do like that, or anybody familiar with it? How about you, Hans? Do you have anything that you know about any of that?
I'm sorry, I was bringing up the statute and finding the section.
Okay.
Would you repeat the beginning of that?
Oh, it's just that Ray, there was on the last meeting, somebody by the name of Ray, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Theberg or Theberge was going. I thought she was going to be here this time, and I was hoping that she would have some information that she might have researched about how she had been successful at where she lived, having an HOA, and she'd actually been to through the point of actually getting an attorney to check how to, even go through the point of having some kind of a legal way for people to sign via Google Documents and different things like that, because we were having trouble getting enough people signed, and the board wasn't allowing some of the proxies because the names weren't exactly the way they were on their documents on their.
Right. I mean, there's a number of, they call them e-sign programs.
Yeah.
You preload their name, and then all they have to do is click and agree that that's, the name you want to use.
Is there some way that we can have, we can gather names like that? And power of attorney, a limited power of attorney. I think, Eamon, you had said something about that, and some of these people didn't hear that.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do with a limited power of attorney? I mean, the proxies, you can appoint somebody to act on your behalf on the proxies. We do it, I don't know how many of you know Nick Pulver. He's been very active, and in the past, he's actually with his own money flown down for the meetings, and people have put in him as the representative for the meeting. So he can vote on anything. I mean, that's pretty much, the proxy is pretty much a power of attorney for that meeting.
but I think,
the problem, and SEBA sends out the proxies at the last minute, and most of the people in Canada or abroad do not have time to get it back to us. And even the proxies I've received, we're here in North Carolina. By the time I get the proxy, I mean, it's supposed to be turned around in like 2-3 days.
But ours have made it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we sent ours in, but we no guarantee
some connection issues.
there's no on our behalf making sure that it's being counted.
Did you catch that? I know it was breaking up here. Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It was breaking up. I couldn't understand it.
Okay.
The situation that I'm seeing is, I'm not sure. The last election, the election before that, a lot of the proxies were sent in. They were either filled incorrectly, names were incorrect. Like my wife and my wife's on the deed and everything. I'm not. So I have to do with the itself. So they were to add my name to it and sign it, they're disqualifying it. With the limited power of attorney, somebody's going there and voting on your behalf, specifically.
And
Getting a power of attorney is going to be near impossible for me. I mean, I wouldn't give you a power of attorney.
why is that?
I just don't want you to be. I don't know. I don't think I'd do it. I mean, it would have to, what are you giving me a power of attorney?
I'm not asking you to give me a power of attorney. We have somebody that's going to represent us, that's going to be there to vote on behalf of all the owners.
Well, that's what the proxy is. The proxy is a power of attorney for the meeting.
Yeah, but by the time the proxy gets out, it's too late.
Yeah, but people have been putting them on the internet, on Facebook, on the other Coconut Palms websites, and so you can download them from there. So even though they don't get out on time, they're available.
Okay,
I know that foreign especially Canada, is a problem getting them back, but they have the law says they have to send them out 45 days before. I think it's 45 days. It may be 15. It's either 45 or 15. But anyway, they're complying by the law. And the fact that they don't get to Canada on time, you can't dispute, you can't take them to anybody to censure them or, whatever.
Okay, so I think one of the things I was thinking about the limited power of attorney, that we could have somebody that we could give that to, and then in advance, who, I don't know if we could communicate with him or whatever, but we could give that power of attorney, limited power of attorney, to somebody that would be qualified to submit our proxies for us if we can't, so that's the one thing that I thought that one of the powers of that would be, was to be prepared, not to have to wait to find out if you're not going to get the proxy in time or anything like that.
But, I mean, you don't have to use their proxy. We can write our own proxy.
Oh, you
and
can
appoint somebody. So, I mean, that's not an issue. That can be done. It doesn't have to be verbatim their proxy.
That's basically a limited power. Is specific to a specific item or transaction. And the transaction would be the timeshare. The same as you're saying, the proxy. What you're saying.
Evidently, you've got some overload on your internet. Can you turn off your video? Maybe we can hear you better.
Yeah, well, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Can you turn your video off? Just do audio.
Down at the bottom.
I'm trying here.
Yeah, down at the bottom left of my mind, it says stop video. Just click on it.
It's either on the top or the bottom. It says stop video.
Top and bottom,
Okay, good. All right, now we might be able to hear. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is the limited power of attorney is specific to the timeshare. So you're assigning one specific person, like people are doing with Nick. But when you do just the proxies and you're assigning Nick to sign on your behalf or vote for you, that's only for that time period. So limited, it would be a little broader, where for the year, for a time period of 1 year, 6 months, 3 months. And
I mean, you can't go to a board meeting. They're not going to recognize you.
Absolutely, they have to. If you have a limited power of attorney, they have to recognize you. It's a legally binding contract.
I understand it, but they don't have to recognize you. In other words, if you want to go in there and talk about something and they don't want to talk about it, they're not going to recognize you.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. But if you go to the voting process, and the problem I've seen over the past several years being part of Coconut Palms is we don't get enough owners sending in their votes on time.
Right.
They come in back, and many of them get thrown out because they're done incorrectly.
Right.
And if somebody purchased in their maiden name and now they're married, whatever the situation is, and they signed it incorrectly, Festive is disqualifying it.
I agree with you 100%. I've gone to a lot of meetings over there. I mean, before Festiva, what's his name? The brothers, oh God,
Cosmos.
They qualified every ballot also. I mean, they just changed the name of the person that's in control now. Nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, for myself to try to stay on track here, tell me if I'm wrong. The limited power of attorney, can we set it up so we can have it existing? I think I heard for a whole year, to be able to be available for all of our proxies to be recognized through this power of attorney, limited power of attorney. And And we would just, you could say, well, we want to go with the group, and we all give that particular person who's got the limited power of attorney permission to vote the way they want, the way they trust they will, for the good of all, to the good of all of the owners. Can that exist for a year, or can it exist for a longer period? Whereas when the meeting happens, we can just walk in there, or somebody can walk in there and say, here's our power of attorney. We have this many votes because these many people have said, we want you to vote for us, and in a legal way. They have to, wouldn't they have to accept that?
Absolutely.
I'm not an attorney. I couldn't tell you the answer to that.
Yeah, I think what, go ahead, Eamon.
I'm not an attorney, but I've been in real estate and the mortgage business for many years. Having a power of attorney, they have to recognize it. So if I have power of attorney for 27 homeowners of Coconut Palms, then I vote whatever I vote. I'm voting on behalf of those 27 people, or whatever the number is.
Right. I mean, when Nick goes to a meeting, he normally has 400 or 500 proxies that are signed to him, and they let him vote. They give him one ballot, and they say, okay, who you're voting for. And then whoever he votes for, all right, 450, 450, 450. But they got 1,700 votes.
Okay. The problem with that is Nick needs to contact 400 people within 15 or 45 days to gather all those. That's a logistics issue. We need to gather several thousand.
We need to get ahead of the game for them.
Right. Now, anybody that's set up an estate has probably filled out a power of attorney, and that goes on forever.
Absolutely. No, a power of attorney does not go on forever. You can cancel a power of attorney at any time.
No, I'm just saying, as long as you don't cancel it, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good until it's revoked.
Yes.
Okay.
You die.
So I would think that you might be able to do the same thing. All right.
Well, yeah. With the limited power of attorney, you could specify in there a time frame. You could say the power of attorney is for 48 hours, 6 months,
Or until further notice.
Right.
So I'm just saying the problem we have is we have thousands of homeowners that are all across the place, and in order for them to be able to vote, they're not doing it on time. They're after the fact. So I'm just saying that the easiest way to rectify that is to have one specific person, like Nick was doing in the past, but not on an individual basis, not when the election is coming up. Somebody that represents us on an annual basis and is able to go to the meetings and vote on our behalf.
Now, do we need an attorney to set that up?
Probably would.
I would recommend having an attorney representing us to have the power of attorney to go there and deal with this, because like everyone said here, if I walk in and say something, they're going to say, I mean, the last board meeting when I was on it and I was listening to it, every time somebody said something that was relative or good, they said, well, let me get back to you. Let me get your number. We'll call you and talk to you.
Yep.
So they basically sidestepped everything. So if we want to go further, we do need to have an attorney represent us to go forward, because the attorney is going to know the legal ins and outs and say, I know what I can do and I can and can't do. I mean, these contracts they're doing, I mean, it's to their benefit to shut down the entire resort and do all the work at once. And it's also to their benefit to assess everybody $500 or $1,000 and get the place up to par for them. And it's easier for them to just shut it down and not have to deal with homeowners for a 3 or 4 or 5 month period. We're going to come out on the short stick on this, because there's no way to make up the weeks. I mean, they can't send us to Branson. They're not going to send us to Florida or anywhere else because there's no other weeks.
So we just need to have, I think we've talked about it twice now. I think, I don't know how we would go forward with that. I don't think we should just to have just to find out how it could be done. But I don't know any attorneys. Is anybody else that could do
I
something?
don't know any Florida attorneys. I know out-of-state attorneys, but they're
Would that
not.
matter? Would that matter?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they can't practice law in Florida without a license.
I see.
And
As-
so doing something up for you. Now, you could say, I don't know, I'd have to ask them, but you could say, well, we're not doing it strictly for Florida owners. We're doing it for owners all over the country. But then you have to say, well, are they licensed in all the places that the owners are? And the answer is no. So you pretty much, you could say, you could probably go with a Florida attorney because that's where the property is. So that's their place of business. That's, everything is based in Florida. So, a Florida attorney could do it.
Could we?
I was hoping to get that
Okay.
information at the last meeting.
Well,
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I saw some that said my internet connection was unstable. Okay. Could we come up with a template of what something we could put together to present to an attorney? If we could find one here in Florida?
Well, I'm sure there's limited power of attorneys online. You could probably search for it. You could probably go down to Office Depot, Office Max, Staples, or something like that, and get a power of attorney that has been done by, an attorney and reviewed by attorneys. So, I don't think, if you want to do it without getting a physical attorney, it could probably be done, and it probably would be recognized. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
But that's what I'm talking about, is having something, a template, because you can just go get a power of attorney, but don't you have to say what you're going to do with this power of attorney? Isn't that necessary? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
if you're wanting to get an attorney to explain to them what you're doing.
On forms online or, at a store, they're going to put in, what are you giving me power of attorney to do?
Okay.
So we'd have to come up with, we probably might want to, if we know somebody, that's an attorney, we might want to say, hey, how do we word this?
Okay.
If we wanted to bypass paying an attorney.
Okay. I see some hands here. Let me get them before I miss them over. Mark, Leanne, and Gail. Mark, go ahead.
I think it still comes down to, we have to get more owners involved. It doesn't matter whether, if we're only getting 400 or 500 proxies in and they're getting 1,700 votes, it doesn't matter how we're getting the votes there. We need more people involved. And I don't know how to go about doing that, but I think that's the bottom line.
Do we need to, as Hans was saying, we have to pay to have a
Possible, and speaking of the paying, I don't know if you would know this, Hans, or not, if it might save us some money if we were to print the letter and provide the envelopes that they just had to, and stuff them ourselves, that they just had to mail it. I don't know if that could save us some money that way, rather than paying them to do that part.
Well, typically they send it out to a mailing house. And the mailing house,
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
like a bunch of people there at Coconut
Right.
Post.
Okay.
And putting
Yeah.
mailing labels on them.
So my question really is long-term goal. What is it that we're trying to do? The last time we talked about this, we said we were trying to get a seat on the board. If we get a seat on the board and there's 2 directors to 1 owner, are we able to accomplish anything? Because they would still have the majority vote.
I mean, Lou Klinker was an owner.
Right.
He was on the board. He resigned.
Right.
I don't know why he resigned, and it doesn't matter. But I mean, he was one. We had a guy that I can't remember his name, Bill something, who died while he was on the board before him. They seemed to make him president and make the owners president but they have no power because, they're outvoted.
Right. And I guess that's my question. We're doing some great problem solving here, but at the end of the day, whatever we're problem solving for has got to give us the authority to take back the board. And I'm not hearing how that is even going to get possible.
Well, if you were to go talk to a lawyer or an attorney and say, hey, listen, we want to take over the board, and you said, well, how many votes do they have? 1,746. How many do you have? 3,703. So what's the problem? Take it back. Vote. This is a democratic country. If people don't vote, well, then they're stuck with what we got.
Correct. So you're saying that we would nominate 3 people and the 3,700 votes would have to be greater than, at least 2 of them would have to be greater than the 3rd person. And then we'd have 2/3 of the board.
Yeah, but I mean, even owners even vote for Festiva people.
Oh, good Lord.
They always have more than the number of votes than they have units, because some owner votes for one of them.
Oh my goodness.
And hence, maybe if we could do something together with the power of attorney, so people can understand the importance of what we all need. I don't know how that would be ever be possible, but that'd have to be a mailing of some sort and a link on the internet to explain things, and so they could go read it. A mailing to send them to somewhere where it can be explained to what we're needing and what we're seeing and why things are happening the way they are. And and I'm still learning about trying to figure out some of the ins and outs of all what is necessary to how to make all the repairs and all the different things with and now the assessment comes in, but we have to have a way to connect to those voters who are maybe just taking their proxy, just checking something, and they don't know who it is, because I didn't know who people were. And I was thinking, well, if I vote for this person, I don't really know. I'm sure they had something about them, but now that I understand and see things going on, I can better see what the voting and everything. But all of this, what we're talking about, most of the people who own weeks will probably not be aware of it. So I think there has to be some way to educate, not only to mail it, but to educate them as to what we would hope for. And and that would take a little bit of manipulation of not only online, where people can click a link and go see it, I think, and which it can be done. And but we have to have the addresses, which would cost money. It sounds like it's pretty well obvious now that it's going to cost money to do that. But then we would have to put together the letter that goes with it and all of that stuff. But and if that's not done, where are we? Are we just dead in the water? And all of what we're talking about is not going to happen. I mean, we'll never have enough votes to put anybody in there that we know that has our interests behind them.
Well, let me suggest to you that at some point in time, this is all going to be a moot issue, because eventually they'll start buying. Once we've all contributed towards the improvement of coconut palms, then they will start buying the units.
Start what?
They'll start buying units. Festiva will start buying units, and then they'll have a supermajority, which means they'll have more than another 800 units, and they've got it pretty much. Now I guess they need more than 800 units. You have to look at, there's 35% delinquency. So if you take that into the number of units there are, that eliminates 2406 from the vote.
There was something, I don't know if I have it here. Hang on a second here.
Let me see if that doesn't sound right. Let me look at that number again.
So Hans, basically what you're saying, it's in Festiva's best interest to fix the resort up and then buy any units back that they can so that they can have the resort just for rental and not really being a timeshare anymore.
Well, I mean, they have the club. I mean, the club is going to buy them. You know, and the club is, you know, is probably a trust of people that own at Festiva. And so they'll put people in here, you know, hoping to get money to buy more units.
There was, I had received something. I think there was something that came up. There was, and I have that information, but I can't share it because I don't know how. But there was somebody where there's a time which you could go in and say, well, we will buy your timeshare. Now we have a that I believe that was Festiva or whoever, but they said they would buy it from you. And we have a regular weekend, we have a biennial, and they said they would buy it. We would have to pay them $1,200 and some dollars if you want.
Yeah, that's the thing you put up at the beginning. That was a letter you put up.
Okay. And what happened was that now I'm trying to find it and I can't get to it because it won't let me minimize my screen, and I didn't know it would do that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you had that up at the beginning.
And it says, I'm telling
you pay them $1,200 and something dollars and they'll take your week.
And it says you cannot minimize Zoom when you are recording this meeting. And I don't want to stop the recording because I'm afraid I'll never get it back right. So my apologies. But yeah, but that's what it was. That's what it was. That's what you can do that. And I don't know if they still offer that. Is that some sort of what you're talking about, huh? Where they're going to be, you think they'd be offering that again, or?
I'm sure they will. You know,
There was a phone number. There was a phone number on it and a woman's name. And
right.
once we get off of this meeting here, I will put it up on the owner's Facebook. And if anybody would want to see it, it'll be there. But,
I mean, they can go right now. They can sell them all the delinquent units for nothing, $1 a piece.
They could. When you say they, who's they?
The 3 board members, the 3 Festiva board members.
The reason that Festiva won't do that right now is because every unit that they take back, they're going to be responsible for maintenance.
Yeah.
So
not only that, but the special assessment now.
Right.
Maintenance, assessment, everything. So right now, all those delinquent units are just bad debt, and it's charged off and it's shared amongst everybody. So we have to pick up that, and everybody has to pick that bill up.
Right. There's 35%. As part of the special assessment is $654,553 for bad debt. $654,000.
But they've had that bad debt for years. Every year it's
right. It gets worse every year.
Yeah,
sure.
But if somebody, and the other thing is, if somebody doesn't pay, they're not going after them. They're not even. There's no collection or anything because they're not going to incur any costs.
Well, some collection agencies work on a percentage. You know, we'll take 30% of whatever we can collect.
They have to actually foreclose. Foreclosed costs would supersede any costs for the $800 or $900 that they would owe for the maintenance.
Yeah, but foreclosure costs money. You have to hire an attorney. You have to file. You have to file briefs and all that. It's probably $1,500, $2,000 to go through foreclosure. And it takes.
We need to find out how we can get the list of homeowners without having to Festiva.
You can't.
Unless you buy them.
You can't even buy them.
Can't buy them.
You cannot buy them. The Florida statutes will not allow you to do that. I'm dead serious. Nick and I have been through this. We try to recall some board members on a Sanibel board we went through this. You cannot buy it. You can, I mean, even if you steal them, they'll sue you for, for theft.
Yeah.
How did you get these?
Yeah. I guess I was mistaken that there could be alternate reasons to pay for a mailing list. I guess
I mean, the only way you're going to do it is if you pay to have them mail it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but how are we guaranteed that they're going to give them?
say that again.
How are we guaranteed that what we give them to mail, they're going to mail?
I mean, they have to by law.
Well, then if that's the case, then I think we should get some kind of power of attorney form with a letter and send it out to everybody explaining what we want to try and do to see if we can give somebody the power of attorney, if Nick would be so nice to do it again, and just have everybody sign their power of attorney for their units to Nick at any election or meeting or any group gathering that has a vote, that he always has, our backs.
How do
I
we
mean,
do-
yeah. I mean, how many people are going to throw them away when they get the letters?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the number. There's 35% delinquency. If you look at the total number of units, that says there's 3,541 units that are delinquent. Which means that even if we got everybody that's not delinquent, we couldn't do it.
Okay.
I mean, it says total billable envelopes 549
Right.
times 35, so there'd be 65% of those. Oh, that's we would be able to get 3,541 votes. The others, we could get 3,541 votes. Okay, I was doing it backwards. So we could get the votes, even with the delinquencies. But
The delinquency right now is there's probably a lot of people delinquent that haven't paid because we hesitated paying too at first because we're like, what's going on? Nobody's answering the phones. I mean, what's happening with the resort? I mean, we just paid $2,000 for our units there, and we're going to have to send them more money and probably not be able to see anybody at the resort for this year.
Right, because we're going to have to pay another $463.33
per unit.
Per unit.
And is there any means that where you'd be able to use it later? I mean, you can't, if you don't have anything to trade, I saw someone talking about Interval International that they wouldn't allow them to do anything because, what is happening now.
Well, yeah, because the weeks are gone. And there's only so many weeks. That's one of the problems with timeshare. If you miss a week, it's not like you can pack it on the back end.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that somebody said they were, they lost a week last year and they gave them one, let them carry it over to this year. I mean, that's not legal because somebody's losing out on a week this year, even if we weren't closed.
Yeah. So there's.
Okay.
I mean, the bottom line is we have to get some people to cough up some money. And then we need to draft a letter to send out to all the people. And, give it to them to mail it out. I found the statutes where it was. Let me see if I can bring it up again. Okay. A mailing requested for the purpose of advancing legitimate owners association business shall occur within 30 days after receipt of a request from a purchaser. The Board of Administration of the Owners Association shall be responsible for determining the appropriateness of any mailing requested pursuant to this subsection. The purchaser who requests the mailing must reimburse the Owners Association in advance or the owners association's actual cost in performing the mailing.
So did you say, I'm sorry, Hans, did you say that they would have to approve
Yes.
the mail?
Yes.
So if so they could say, no, we're not mailing that. We're not mailing a power of attorney out.
The Board of Administration is responsible for determining the appropriateness of the mailing. Yes.
So yeah, they're going to deny it.
Well, they could. That's why I think we need an attorney, because they can deny it, but
By legal definition, they shouldn't be able to.
yeah, I mean,
I think-
they've got to have a valid reason why they're going to deny it.
I think we're just rowing and we're going around in circles here,
Mhm.
beating kicking a dead horse here until we can figure it out. Just do what Eamon said. We have to try to, maybe once this meeting is done, we can discuss with each other how to do that and see what we can do. But we can talk about this all day long, but it sounds like now that Hans had mentioned that, and they have to give the appropriateness, accept the appropriateness of the
Mhm.
the letters and stuff. That's yep. So anyway,
And that's,
just getting, if you send it down, we want your contact information. They could say it's not appropriate because the Florida statute says that, owners are not allowed to have each other's contact information.
right. And I think that's basically what Mark told us at the last meeting. He said, you guys need to come up with some money and go get an attorney and see what the attorney thinks and whether or not he thinks it's worth moving forward.
Well, let me suggest to you, I think the only way we're going to win without spending a fortune is we need to go to the state. And we need to go to the state and say, hey, listen, not the DBPR, the Department of Business Professional Regulations, because number one, they don't have any power, and number two, they're useless. But anyway, we need to go to them and say, listen, there's a conflict of interest on the board. We're concerned that they're overpaying. We need to come up with some reasons why the state should investigate them. Festiva was investigated in North Carolina, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know, something happened in North Carolina in regards to Festiva. And I think that is the only way I think we're going to move forward, is we need to go to the state and get the state attorney to look at this.
Yeah, there was I think it was Mark who put in on the group page, the Festiva class action settlement. And that's where that's one of the things that I think he was maybe even suggesting the same, I don't know if the same attorney or whatever, but that's still on the group page somewhere. We'd have to find it. And I know that I had a clip of it to show people here, and I can't get it up there for you. So, but anyway, that's one of the alternatives. I'm sorry, but I just don't see that we're going to get anywhere unless there's some kind of a legal action taken. And like you say, I mean, we have to, I think the conflict of interest is probably the one thing that we're going to have to try to look into. What do you think?
I've sent a letter to the DBPR listing about 16 reasons, that they shouldn't have a majority of the board, and then they poo-pooed it. But I mean, we need to send it to the state attorney. We need to come up with something to send to the state attorney to investigate. That's a good idea, by the way, of figuring out who it was that handled the class action suit in North Carolina, and seeing if they can't work with some Florida law. That's their hometown. Their home state. So there would be no reason that they couldn't take on, us. Because they're in North Carolina, they should be able to still take us on. The other thing, that as part of the Cosmos purchase, you know, there are other associations here in Orlando that, that I think have the same situation. You know, they've overloaded the board. And, you know, and we might be able to work with them too. But I mean, that's you know, an ancillary issue. Or, you know, but I mean, I think we're, you know, just brainstorming,
Yeah.
I think is good.
But there was, I think it went to a little bit farther, and I can't, if I could read it, doggone it. I'm sorry. I can go a little bit bigger here. Nope, can't do it. But anyway, there's actually more of a, it actually got not just for the simple thing, but some kind of an action. I can't remember what it's called there, but it's, you know, it was such an action where they, you know, it's not, it was, sorry, I can't remember what it's called.
Class action suit.
No, it was worse. It's even more than that. It's a crime of some sort. And I can't get to it. I don't want to lose this meeting here. It's if you could take a look at it, if you guys can take a look at it on the page, and you'll see where it's got that on the page. It says Festiva Class Action Settlement through Mark. If you do a search for Mark, you'll find it. If you can do a search up in there for Mark, and he'll have it as one of his posts, and it will say, almost had it, almost came to me. But it is.
Well, here I'm looking, it says that they had a lawsuit against them for using high pressure false and misleading sales tactics.
It was, sorry, can't remember. But it was a little bit worth of just it you know, and then at the class action, I think they were going to be getting in trouble for what they've done, and that's when I think they one of the reasons they were successful probably. No, I wish I could see that.
A lot of this stuff is old.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, that was the class action was old. True. But anyway, it looks like that would be what we'd have to do. We have to find out some way to do anything. If we're going to go and get anywhere, I think it's going to have to be in a legal fashion in that way. And then we have to find out, who, how we can do it, and how we're going to pay for it, because there's going to be we have to pay the attorney on all these things. But then, you know, the more people that would want to be involved with that, you know, the amount of money that you'd have to pay could be spread over a larger area and be a little more feasible. But all right, let's I think we've had that. So let's I was going to try to share something here about for those who somebody had mentioned something on the Facebook group that there's a place that would transfer deeds. And I just wanted to say that there was something called lttransfers.com. And that's one way that you can transfer deeds if you're wanting to transfer deeds to someone else. If somebody, even if you just want to just, you know, you take it and you pay all those expenses through this company, they say it's a quick and easy way to do that.
well, you should be able, I mean, I transfer deeds all the time, but I'm not offering to do that for anybody else. But it costs you $10 to record it. And if you're giving it away, it's 70 cents for doc stamps. That's
Okay.
all, $10.70 to transfer a deed.
Okay. Is there something that you could share on the group page? I think I saw somebody say it might have been you. Did you ever post that on the page?
I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
My wife is, but I don't want her flooded with stuff. All right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just hey, Mike.
Could you email me maybe?
I don't know your email address.
If I give it to you now?
Well, I can give you mine.
Okay.
Anybody else who wants
You
it?
write it down. Let me write it down. Go ahead.
It's HAN, S as in Susan, D as in David. So it's Hans D
Mhm.
at Charlie Frank Lima CFL
Charlie.
dot Frank Lima CFL. CFL.
Oh, sitting there writing it out. Jeez. CFL.com.
No, .rr.com.
Oh, okay. Real.
Central Florida Roadrunner.
Okay. So Hans D at CFL.rr.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And here, I'll give you my phone number if you need to contact.
Okay.
407
Mhm.
739 6939.
All right.
Now, eventually I'll write something up for you, but you could find like a quit, QUIT, claim deed. You can find a form online. You can go to an office supply place and get it. All you need to do is go back to your deed, and you need the legal description from your deed. So it'll say, it'll say unit 3502, week such and such at Coconut Palms 2 Resort, Look, in book 3503, page 2704, as recorded in Volusia County, that's the legal description. That's really the only important part of that.
Okay.
That's the only, thing that might take a little bit of work. But the clerk of the court public records are online. And so you can look up your deed online and you can display it, and you can copy that. If you don't know where your deed is, you can copy it from the online records.
You say that's the clerk of the court?
Yes.
Repeat that.
Volusia clerk of the court.
I'm sorry?
The Volusia County clerk of the court. So you can go there and you can search. You can look at Moore Michael, and it'll show you everything you own. But obviously there'll be more Michael Moores.
Yeah, it would be.
You won't find many Hans Devons, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
Once you know what weekend unit it is, then you bring that you can actually bring the physical deed up. The electronic deed up.
Yeah, I see.
And you can print it out.
Yeah.
You can print it out. And then you can copy it and put it in a quit claim deed. Like I said, the recording fee is $10. If you sell it for $100 or less, it's 70 cents for the documentary stamps.
Okay.
So
yeah,
1070.
Good information to know. Here I'm trying to say, well, send it somewhere. They're going to pay $300 to do it. And here you are saying, okay.
Yeah. So if you want a copy of the deed back, you send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and as soon as it's recorded, they send it back to you, and you've got the deed.
Okay.
Or you can have it. You can say who you want it sent to. You can send it to you, or you can send it to the buyer.
Okay. All right. That's good information. I'll probably get in touch with you later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see, there's something else I was trying to put some notes together just to say something like we really stayed on that subject for a long time on the attorney stuff. So I wish we had Ray here to say about the homeowners association. I say Mark has posted the 1996 bylaws. Does anybody know if the bylaws, I imagine they've been changed since 1996, right?
You can go to the Volusia clerk of the court and get the bylaws.
Okay.
Just put in Coconut Palms 2. And you look for documents. You'll see the latest one. They're in date order, chronological order.
Okay. What?
Just search for bylaw.
Beans.
Once you get Coconut Palms 2, all the documents, then just do a find on that page of bylaws.
Okay. That's nice.
So you can get them. I'm trying to remember what this is right here that I've got right here. And this is one, this is Coconut Palms 1.
Hi, Alita. Can you hear me? Hello, Alita.
Hello,
Hi. Welcome.
thank you. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Okay, so we were just discussing the bylaws, where we could find them, the latest ones. And this is going to be on the recording. The recording will be posted after the meeting. So everything's being said. We'll be able to go back in and get that information, because I know I won't remember everything. And I'm trying to write stuff down. I'll probably still not remember it all. So that's one good thing about having recording.
Okay.
If you email the association, they're bound to provide you the condominium documentation. They have to provide it to you.
Okay. That information, where would we find that information to do that?
I don't know who you send, I don't know who within Festiva you send it to. Or, you send it to somebody at, homeowners association, and they have to provide it.
Okay. All right.
But I'm just saying, in the absence of that, you can get it online.
Okay. Let's see here. So we covered the assessment. Everybody here, how many did have? I haven't received my assessment letter. Alita, did you receive your assessment letter?
We received them just today.
Okay. Norbert, did you receive yours?
Norbert, you have to unmute. There you go.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. And whoever this is, it's 1732-500-4734. Did you receive yours? That doesn't matter. Okay, we'll get on. Let's see. Well, I think we're all going to get them sooner or later. Mine might be out in my mailbox right now. It'll be an interesting read for sure. Hopefully I've got it.
They got a copy, they posted a copy on the Facebook, and I just printed it out, so.
Okay.
But I just received mine officially today.
Okay.
There's a URL on the special assessment meeting, very short URL, but where you register. So if when you get yours, Mike, you might want to post that link.
Okay.
For registering, and mention it's through Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think I saw it, but I didn't read through it yet. So, but I will. And
Okay.
And I think it's like I said, like you were just saying, it's already on there. Somebody has posted it, and I think the link I'm pretty sure I saw the link, and it is clickable. So.
I mean, it's tinyurl.com /47 YBCP87. I mean, it's something you can type in.
Yeah, that you wouldn't have to. Yep. Okay. The only thing else I have hang on a minute. The only thing else I have, and what I was wondering about, was that there was Bob Williams had mentioned something about doing something, contacting the board. Is he attached to the board? He had written something up. He said that we could all basically kind of put together and copy it or whatever. It's just a request for information under Florida statutes. It says, and what he had written was that I am making a request for information at the urging of numerous floating timeshare owners. Most of them have been canceled recently from open units in Travelers and Thatch. I request a response within the time frame required under the Florida statutes for this request. The response should be from the board. Percentage of units in March and April either reserved or held for fixed owners. Percentage of units occupied or held for fixed owners that are in the actual owned units for week and unit per their deed. Percentage percentage of units occupied or held for adventure club members not in adventure club legally deeded weeks. Percentage, if any, of units being rented or reserved to non-owners or adventure club members. Let's see, we're out there. And that's the thank you. So it says that that's what he was suggesting people do.
Well, I mean, if everybody's going to do it, here's the situation. You can, Florida statutes allow you to ask questions of the board. And they have 10 working days unless they tell you it's going to take longer to research it and respond. All right. So in order to go to the DBPR, which is the Department of Business Professional Regulations, you have to prove that they received that letter. So that means you have to send that letter of certified return receipt. All right. So I don't know what, if 100 people send the same letter to Festiva, I don't know what it's going to prove. What's it going to prove? I mean, as long as Bob sent it and he sent a registered return receipt, he should be able to publish whatever response he gets from them. I just don't know what sending more letters like that would prove.
Yeah, I suppose it just, they would see the interest and maybe they've seen it if there was enough interest for them to pursue or to think they should maybe consider it.
No, I mean, they have to. They have 10 days to respond to it.
Yeah, it's always like they have to, but okay, yeah, anyway, yeah.
No, seriously, I'm not being sarcastic here. They have
And I
to.
don't mean to any. I'm just thinking in my mind is just one of these minds that says, well, they have to, but who knows what they have? Who knows what they do? Who knows what they have in their hands? Is there some
I mean,
way
they can say we don't have them. They can say we don't have information.
I'm sorry, say it again.
They can say they don't have that information at this time.
Yeah.
That's probably what they'll say.
Yeah, sounds like politics.
Yeah.
What they said last time. Last time they said that they didn't have any information, that they didn't know. For example, in this paperwork they just sent in for what they're quoting for repairing, all the repairs and all these things. I think it's going to add up to $4,343,000. And they don't specify in the money we already paid in. We already gave them money for repairs that were not done before the storm. So we had already paid, we already, I can't remember how much.
Yeah, the assessment, the earlier assessment.
I can't remember how much it was. We own 2 weeks. So every assessment is times 2. I know there are people that own multiple weeks. And it's a difficult thing to be paying these assessments, but what happened to the money we just paid a couple of years back? They haven't even, I mean, they painted the building, that's about it. I mean, there are many things that they do that are just cosmetic. And we've been staying there since maybe 2000, maybe before 2000. And every time it rains, it leaks. I mean, we've been in rooms where we've had to put like the garbage cans, to stop water from coming into the room. They're planning on replacing all the windows, all the sliding doors, all these things that should have been replaced years ago. And they should have had some money set up, aside to care for these things in a more continual basis, not wait until everything falls apart, then try and fix everything. And then people can't afford it because there's a lot of people saying that they're not going to pay for it. And we're the people that, maybe have a little bit more means or a little bit more hope that the place is going to get fixed, we'll continue paying for the people that didn't pay. And it just becomes a a circle of, the few people that are still left behind keep paying for other people that don't want to pay anymore. I think, we have to really look into the finances of this company, how they're investing the money, because they're not, the expenses are mostly bad debt and a very high cost of managing the resort.
I've heard the word investigation come up in this meeting. Who was that? Was that you, Hans, or no? Somebody had mentioned something about there had to be some sort of an investigation to maybe try to find something like that out. That would
Years
be
ago, years ago I mentioned, about auditing, because we were there, I can't remember how many years ago when they had a meeting and we were there in person. And I requested we should have an audit, and they say that they do their audits as the law asks them to, but I've never seen the results of an audit to see where the money is going.
Well, you can request a copy. They have to provide it to you.
Right.
I don't know.
yeah.
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
It is. And my husband is an accountant, and what he noticed is that every year we get charged for bad debt. There's a very large, can't remember how many millions of dollars in bad debt. He says that if somebody doesn't pay and they foreclose, it should be a one-time thing, to
over. Yeah.
Why do we have to continually pay for people that stop paying?
Because they're not doing anything with those units. They're just sitting there.
It's to their advantage.
But they're renting them out, and they're supposed to use that income, because that's another meeting I remember listening to that. They rent out these units, and the income should come back to cover that bad debt. But let's say somebody bought a timeshare, it's paid off for, and they just stop paying their annual maintenance fee. That's what, $900 a year, maybe?
Do they pursue? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Is why do we have millions of dollars of bad debt every year? Where is that coming from?
From those units that owners are not paying.
I know, but that should be what, $900 per week? Because we kind of multiplied here how many, they have to tell us, how they're coming up with the bad debt. Is it $900 per how many people are not paying? And if they're not paying it, are we renting? Where is this company that is renting online? Where are they getting those weeks? From Festiva, I imagine. And are those the ones that Festiva owns, or are those the ones that they repossessed, or what is? It should be like a one-time thing, and it does not cost $900 to take care of those rooms. I mean, I've been there 2 weeks in a row. They used to come and clean our room. They would call it a midweek cleanup. They would just come and vacuum pretty much. And last time, let's change sheets and stuff. And last time they told me, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So I'm there for 2 weeks and I don't get any cleaning of any sort. So I bring my own cleaning supplies. So why do I have to pay $900 times 2 when nobody even shows up to clean anything? I mean, it's a lot of money for maintenance, and I don't think we're getting much from it. So they should be using that money to fix the windows, to fix the doors. They should have some sort of fund, for these kinds of things. And plus, we already paid an assessment, and where did that money went? I mean, where did it go?
Yeah, I think what you had just spoken about, where, what are they doing? They can't, by them leaving them as bad debt and then using them again to rent them out or let other people use them. That is something that an attorney, I think, in a lawsuit, that should be looking at that and finding out. And I can't remember the damn word, excuse me, the word that that was used on the one where it was not just a class action suit, but actually they were after him for bad practices and illegal practices. And I believe that might be one of those illegal practices that they can get him in trouble for once they can do that, once they prove that, and that's what they're doing. And then they're just putting it all onto the owners who were never told that they would have to pay for everybody else's, and never in the beginning at any time that they would have to pay for owners who just dropped out. That was not in the contract that I know. And if I would have known that, I said, I might not even been there in the first place. But I think that's going to be an attorney situation where we have to do some legal stuff too, and inform them of that's what's happening. And I think,
I can't believe with all these owners that we don't have an attorney.
Yeah. Well,
as an owner.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Everything we talk about it's swirling around some legal help. We need legal help, and we need somebody who's informed and somebody who knows what's happening there and can find who we can get. And right now I'm
actually there is a in this bill that they sent us about the expenses of how much it's going to cost. They actually are predicting that 35% of the people are not going to pay. So it says projected bad debt, enter as a percentage, it says 35%. So they added $654,000 to the bill. I just don't understand why they're I guess
definitely bad practice is probably not legal in some way or another. And there's probably somebody can find that. That's my guess. That's an uneducated guess, but I think that's what we're going to have to find somebody and to take a look at it. That's the only thing I know.
Records and get all the owner records that way.
And I have a question. Can we change the management company? Can we just get rid of Festiva, even if they own?
No, you have to have a vote of the owners, and you have to have a simple majority.
A simple majority or a 2/3? Because it's
simple.
Yes.
I mean, you can put it up for vote, but you got to get a board member to put it on the agenda.
Right, because we are supposedly 3,703 owners, 3,703 owners, and they're 1,746. I gotta multiply it. I don't know if we are actually. We could do a simple majority if we wanted.
Well, we had discussed it earlier, and it sounds like a near impossible thing. And Hans would have to go. I think if you wanted to, when the meeting is done and I get it recorded and I put it up, you will be able to see some of the information that we had talked to, and you'll see what was said, and you'll see it sounds like quite a task. So I said this meeting was supposed to go till 9 o'clock, and if anybody has any more questions right now, go ahead and ask them. So,
well, Mike, it's not an impossible task. It just means that the owners have to be interested in their association. All right, that's it. I mean, it's not undoable. All right, I don't know. I think, is that a correct word? It can be done, but the point that needs to be made is it won't be in that condition forever. In other words, at some point in time, Festiva will own more than the owners own. And at that point, it won't be able to be done. It's pretty much, every year we slip a little bit more and a little bit more. And at one point in time, the door is going to close and we can't do anything. Just give them their week.
And they'll continue do what they want to do with it, and they'll continue to assess. They'll continue to do what they want. And
Yes.
And that's why I say right now, the most appealing thing to me, and I'm not saying this is something you should do, but to me, is to get an attorney and go through the class action, and we could take a look at what has already happened on the first class action, and maybe use that as a basis for what we can do. One, since what Hans is saying is probably more than likely true, what are we looking for? What can we look forward to? So now is the time. If there's some kind of remuneration, and if that's the right word, of what has already happened, class action, can say, well, you've done this, and what you've done is not right, and you have to make good on what you've done, the wrong that you've done. If some people consider it wrong, we shouldn't be paying for other people's debts. It was not on our contract, and we shouldn't be doing a lot of things that, and have to pay all these assessments. So I think I think for me, that's the only thing that makes sense right now, because all these people that know what they're doing, Hans and Bob and all of those people have been trying, and there hasn't been any success as far as getting enough signatures for the proxies. And, by the time that might happen, if we can't figure out a way to do that, then, and like you say, Hans, you're saying it's not impossible. So, but we're going to be, how many assessments are we going to pay in the meantime? How much, it could be another hurricane next year, the end of this year. So unless we can figure out how to do something really strong, make a strong move with the proxies and get somebody in there. But I don't know. I'm just thinking that I don't want to say it's a losing battle, because I don't want to be negative. So, but we need somebody that knows more than me how to get it done, and we need to have a coming together to figure that out.
Well, the first thing we have to do is to get everybody's email. So they should have it. Festiva should have every owner's contact address and email. And we can do all this by email. We don't have to mail out letters, because the letters sometimes
is getting those emails. That's
yes,
that's one of the problems. It's like, that's, from what I see, it's like pulling teeth or worse. It's trying to get those emails from them.
Well, that's because they don't want to, not because it's hard to do.
Plus, it's not on their. It doesn't behoove them to. So
right.
It's the law. It's the law, Mike. They cannot give out the email or name or.
Sorry. Yep. Okay. So there you go. Now that. So you see where we're stuck. We'll see where we're stuck there, and.
Yeah.
And you know why they do that? Because all the lobbyists that the timeshare industry has hired has brought you all this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Well, it's 9:07. I'm going to have to get off here, and I'll be recording this, and we'll be putting it back up. I'll have the recording up online, so you can go back over it, Alita, and then take a look at it, see what we discussed and everything. So thank you all for coming. Hans, thanks for all your information and stuff. And I think Aiden already left and everything. So everybody, I hope you all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Michael, thank you for your efforts. I mean, Nick has, I mean, I can't believe Nick is still hanging in there, but he is.
Yeah, I think he had some, I think if I remember right, I think he said that he had his son had some kind of a sports event.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning.
Yeah, he
said he couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, thank you so much for doing this, and, leading this and organizing it and all that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You've done a good job. I'm sorry.
In the beginning, I said, this is going to be a learning experience for me. And it still will be. If we want to, I think we're, each time we do this, and if a lot of people don't show up, some of the people that I was hoping to see, and they might be on the next meeting or whatever, but we have to be able to have a solid plan to do whatever we're going to do. So I'll put this stuff up, and then what I did the last time was I was just going over certain points of the meeting. And you not on Facebook, Han, so I can send. I don't know. It'll be.
My wife's on Facebook, and she'll share anything you publish. But like I said, please don't have anybody contact her, because I don't want to involve her.
No, okay, no. That's. I promise.
I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on anything. I don't want to get caught in that quagmire.
Okay. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go with it at that, and I'll bid you all a good night. And
Thank you. Right.
Take care, and thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. See you later.
All right, bye.